Pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Get my good side, right?
Oh, I got you.
Here.
David Catholic. Here. Nancy Alice. Here. Jerry Jericho.
Here.
Janine Montiki.
Janine, you here?
Frank Matera.
Here.
Paul Favarni.
Here.
And just for matter of the record and for people that, anyone who's on Zoom, Janine is participating by speaker on her phone. She had something come up in the house tonight, so she wasn't able to be here, but she's participating by phone. Okay, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 10th, 2021.
Motion.
Okay. Well, they already had a motion. Want to do the second, Janine?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions, discussion, or changes to the minutes? Roll call.
Jody Catholic.
Yes.
Nancy Alice.
Yes.
Jerry Jericho.
Yes.
Janine Montiki.
Janine?
Frank Matera.
Yes.
Paul Favarni.
Yes.
Mark Alderisi.
Yes. Mayor's report.
The only thing I have tonight is, at our previous meetings, we talked about relocating the bus stop
Yes.
at 5th Street and McCain Avenue. They need a letter from us requesting when you want to make that into a loading zone.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to add that to the agenda tonight, everyone? I don't think we never actually came
I thought we sent them a letter. We sent them some kind of letter.
Yeah, I thought I saw something, but I
They want a definite date when we want to make it to the loading zone.
Okay, I know we sent them a letter.
Okay, we'll get, let's add that to number 10 on the agenda then, please.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Reports of standing committees. Finance, Janine?
Is Paul there that he can do this?
Yeah, I'm here, thank you, I'll do it.
Can you? Yeah, please do.
Okay. Total bills for the month were $117,880.96. We've paid $38,613.20, leaving a balance of $79,267.76. I would like to entertain a motion to pay the remainder of the bills.
We have a motion. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions, discussions, any of the bills? Roll call.
Jody Catholic.
Yes.
Nancy Alice.
Yes.
Jerry Jericho.
Yes.
Janine Montiki.
Yes.
Frank Matera.
Yes.
Paul Favarni.
Yes?
Mark Alderisi.
Yes. Personnel, Janine, do you have anything?
I do not at this time.
Nancy?
We had one application received for a street crew position. We will be contacting the state regarding the borough manager position.
Well, I did get a call on that tonight.
Okay.
Okay, so if I can bring up the beat.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, Michael Foreman called me today. He suggests that we re-advertise. He actually came back a day early for his bereavement. He suggests that we re-advertise any of the other applications that we did not interview for. He did not feel they were properly qualified. He would like us to re-advertise with an April 5th deadline for the new applications to come in.
For borough manager?
For borough manager. Roberta, he's putting that together. If you want to give him a call tomorrow and see if there's anything he needs you to do, if he's going to handle everything on his end. Okay? I didn't get a chance to talk about that when he called me. So I apologize.
That's all right,
Yeah.
no problem.
I think we need to officially re-advertise for the road crew again.
Okay.
Just, officially put it back out there on whatever, the borough, what's that borough? I couldn't remember the borough site where I was trying to tell you
I
about.
forget the name of it also. It's the same one we use for the borough manager.
Same one?
Yeah. There's two of them.
I think we need to do that and then have it in by the next agenda maybe.
We did get one or two applicants. Was it one or two?
She said one. I mean, I know I talked to several other ones that said they were going to put in today, actually. Maybe they didn't make it down here.
Okay. What I'd like, if it's okay with everybody, if we do get anything else in the next week or so, is everyone okay with personnel committee setting something up and going ahead and doing an interview with them in the meantime? And if they think they look okay, they can come back and we can do a second interview?
That's
Mark, I have a
fine.
suggestion on that.
Sure.
The interview.
Yeah, please.
So, instead of just the personnel committee, I would like to do something similar to what we did with, hold on one second, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I would like to do the same thing that we did with the borough managers and have whoever wants to be there, and Nancy and I interview them.
I mean, whatever you guys want to do, I'm okay with.
Well, if it's for the road crew, I still think we need to have Tawny involved in that like we did the second
Right.
interview.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm suggesting.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody else on council that wants to be there.
You suggest
But
Tom?
we'll do a Zoom meeting.
I would rather do it in person. I'm
No, I'm
sorry.
not saying that. I'm not saying you and I'm saying everybody else on Zoom. So they can hear our questions and they can hear their answers.
Well, let's see how many apply, and
Yeah.
then we can decide if it's going to be Zoom or all in person. Because if it's not that many, we can do it all in person.
Well, what deadline do you want to put on? Because we have one right now. Don't you want to interview the one we already have?
Well, that's my question then, Mark. Are we, the one that came in now, was it late from the first time we advertised, or was it just
No, it
now they decided to send in an application
They just
because
sent it.
they thought we were hiring?
They just sent it now to the public hiring.
Well, then, you know, I'm agreeing with Jerry. I don't think we should take any until we actually advertise it again, because it's not fair to people who are not knowing we are hiring. If we're going to start interviewing people because they think we're hiring and put their name in. So I think we should advertise it again.
Well, I think we always have pretty much open. We've done that. We've done it in the past. We've gotten
But
open.
we've not interviewed year round.
I'm not saying yes or no to that.
I say just at this point, let's just
I mean, we can hold those applications
hold them all
until
till,
the date.
if somebody did put in,
To
hold them
start
all.
actually talking
And let's
and
just
saying, okay, I want this person, that person, and somebody
Okay,
that's going to.
okay, then let's pick a date right now, and have Roberta put the advertisement out tomorrow so we get the ball rolling, because, you know,
The Monday before the next agenda meeting. That way we have a couple days
Yes.
to look over.
You have to let Taylor into the meeting.
she's not on my screen, that she wants in. Roberta, there's no one on here that says they're trying to get in. Oh, wait, there wasn't on.
actually, if you're going
Usually puts it right in the middle of the screen there. Yeah, we said, okay, so it's gonna have it whenever they're gonna come up, because normally it comes up in the middle of the screen that we miss. Okay, so we'll do that now?
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Janine, because it was on the corner of the screen. One more thing before I forget, just to remind me. I mean, we're part of social distance. Is everyone okay with me having my mask off? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so what, yes,
Doc, you were talking about Michael Foreman.
yes.
Did he say anything about including the salary this time, as you discussed?
Including the salary.
In the advertisement?
He did not. When either Roberta and I talked to him, we'll confirm that. We did not talk about that part.
And also, April 5th is Easter Monday, and the office will be closed,
Okay,
so it'll have to be April 6th.
okay. That's fine. So, yeah, when you talk to him tomorrow, Roberta.
Talk to him again.
Yeah, someone on there, you may have two people both on the Zoom at the same time. If you could disconnect one of them, it's giving feedback. And if you try and mute yourself on the other end, please.
Is it the Zoom or is it the speakers?
No, it's the Zoom.
So my question on, do we disagree that in the advertisement that we should put the salary?
I don't know if we come to an agreement.
We didn't come to an agreement on it. I think we're still up in the air on the salary.
I'm sorry, I think we should.
I still think we should not, in my
No,
opinion.
I've never looked at any job interview that told you how much you made.
They give a range. I've seen ranges, and I think we should.
Yeah, I have.
Well, they can say range, a borough
Well,
of
we need
this
to give a
size.
range, So these
Well,
ones
I
who
don't
think
know.
they're gonna get $100,000
We
will
could,
lie.
we could take a borough of this size and say the range of a borough of this size pays their manager X amount, X
I
amount,
would just say between 50 and 60,
you know.
you know.
Right, but I wouldn't definitely put a,
Okay, well, we're
No,
talking,
yeah.
we talked to Mike, we'll ask him the
Because
best
we're gonna
rate.
go by how much they know too.
Right.
So I say between 50 and 60 range,
With your experience and,
depending on experience.
but on the, well, I don't know, this is all out of personnel, so we're not, this doesn't pertain to personnel, so we'll go with it and we get into another discussion.
all right.
Okay, is there anything else on personnel before we move on to public works?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question, but I don't want to get in a fight over this.
No fighting today. No fighting.
First of all, you're right, Jerry. At some point, I thought we needed a borough manager. I don't know, and I'll tell you why. Some years ago, when I was on council, we appointed a very nice lady called Roberta to be a borough administrator. And during that time, I was on finance, and we had another tax increase. Roberta does a wonderful job. I don't understand why we want to do something else to a total stranger when you have someone here that's homegrown, knows the community. If we gave her a good assistant that would work with her, I would think that it would be in our budget and in cooperation with the street department, the police department. Everyone has a good rapport with her. I know when EIP plan came down, I read it. And what upset me is that they put in that the mayor directs the police department. Now, I don't know who put that together, but we have a regional police department where that's not the case. So what they did is copied the borough code and charged us money and showed us a reason why we have to have a borough manager. I just think I'm worried we're landlocked. We have a great amount of elderly, and we are in a situation where I'd hate us to get into a cash flow situation, let alone this total stranger coming in to tell us what to do. And the other issue I'd like to make a point, we are on committees. We are legislative representatives locally elected by the people of Charleroi to be in charge of certain committees that we report to you on a monthly basis. I don't micromanage the position that I'm on, but I do respect that, and I give directives to Bobby or whoever, whatever I'm in charge to do their job. And I do remember when I was a school director that the superintendent basically micromanaged and the board made a policy. And my point is that I just wonder if we should take a second look at this, the fact that it's been rejected, in all due respect. There may be a new council coming on. And I hate to have us locked into something. And we have a wonderful borough administrator. If we give her an excellent assistant secretary, maybe we could get by with a lot less money and have a family. This is supposed to be a family. The borough, the street department, the fire department. And I'm trying to do that to Legion, the same thing, the Legion family and the one-on-one. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't want to argue the point because I have thought about it at great length. And so my position is that I would not be in favor of that.
Okay, and I respect that. Just a couple things I want to address on that. If we go with a borough manager, and one of your concerns is the finance, if we have an assistant to Roberta, it will actually cost us more money. Because the first 3 years, the state will pay 50%, up to 50%. Yes, they will, Paul.
No, they will. That's not the way that's written, Mark.
And yes, Steve, you want to jump in here on this?
It's not 50%.
It's up to 50%.
It's 50%, that doesn't mean 50% per year, it's
No.
graduating scale.
Right, so it's not 50, so whether we're paying them $60,000 a year,
They will
that
pay,
does not say they're paying them $30,000, correct?
over the 3 years, they will pay 50% of the salary.
So if it's broken down in different
That does
denominations.
not mean they pay 30,000 per year.
How much did the borough commit already into this? We're committed to what, 5,000, is that correct?
We qualified for the hardship application,
Right.
which meant we only did a 10% local match of funds. The rest was
So
all
we're,
grant.
so anything over the 5,000, if they put in, say the salary is 60,000, we've committed to 5.
No.
No, this is, that
We
obviously.
committed 5,000 for the early intervention study.
Okay.
There's been no commitment of, let me take off my mask so
Yeah.
everyone can hear me. This gets really,
Well, no, that's what, I think it needs to be explained, because
Yeah,
they want to
let me
think it's a
take
money
one
thing, but
moment
it's
to
really
stress
not a
it.
money thing.
Yeah.
right, so this is an evolution of a 2-year process. When we applied for the early intervention program, Councilman Salaski and I at the time worked on a hardship application. That allowed us to receive 10% funding. It was our requirement to participate in the program, which performed the study, which referenced the report that Councilman Patera spoke of. So the total project cost, I believe, was $50,000. We were on the hook for $5,000.
Right.
We paid that over successive invoices over the completion of the project. The project was delayed because of the pandemic, restrictions on public meetings. The report had to be adopted at a public meeting. Remember, we were able to finally do that. I believe it was last June or July. We were able to do that in 2020. Part of the recommendations, and Councilman Patera is correct, and he and I discussed the report at length a number of times. One of the recommendations was modernizing our operations by having a borough manager. We had adopted a borough manager ordinance, which council, for lack of a better description, designates certain powers for that manager to perform. So we've already done that background work. In my conversations with DCED and Michael Foreman is that the governor's office incentivizes communities like ours who were on the verge of financial assistance, right? We're not Act 47.
No, right, correct.
In fact, the EIP said we're doing pretty well financially, considering, the borough's finances in comparison to other communities that have gone through the EIP program. Part of their recommendation was for that borough manager position. Because we've gone through the program, we have priority to apply for a separate grant that will provide 50% funding. I'm happy to be the lawyer that delivers the most legalese type discussion in the room. It sounds like hair splitting, but it is 50% state matching funds for the salary. But it is not 50% per year. It's a graduated declining scale. The policy consideration that DCD puts to this is that they know if you're financially distressed, you're probably not in a position to commit 100% funds in year one. So perhaps year one is 100% funded. Perhaps year two is 75% funded. Perhaps year three is less. So by eroding that scaling down, the state pays its 50% into the borough coffers to pay for half the salary. And the target goal is to allow the borough to forecast and budget ahead to pay for that. I don't want to misspeak. I hope Councilwoman Mathicky can hear me. I know part of Finance Committee's budget that we adopted this year did account for the borough manager position, if I'm not mistaken. It's been unfunded naturally because we're a quarter of the way through the year without a candidate. So the likelihood is by the time we get candidates, conduct interviews, and should council by majority vote elect to hire a borough manager, by the time that comes around, we're probably going to be in the second or third quarter of the year. So we would probably have more than enough available funds on hand for this year because we'd be paying perhaps a third of the salary for a borough manager. Again, not speaking to any of the work that Roberta does, not opining on that. That's a council decision. I work with Roberta all the time. I love the job that she does. But this is the process. So to speak to the process, that's what's involved. And, Michael Foreman's maintained open communication with us on that point. What he's recommending we do is implement the recommendations of the early intervention plan by advertising for a borough manager and seeing the type of candidates we receive. We had 2 candidates, I believe they were interviewed. The rest were rejected by DCB for not meeting their minimum qualifications. So, does that mean that we would necessarily get grants in the future beyond the early intervention program's recommendation and the partial 50% funding support for a borough manager? It doesn't, but the representations to us have been, if you go through the program, implement the procedures, hire somebody qualified to write grants, apply for them, you're gonna benefit by receiving future grant funds from the state as well. So, kind of a long-winded explanation, but I know we've had changeover with council members, and it makes sense to kind of recapture that at this point.
And
That's the best that I can speak to.
the 50%, as Mike said, as Steve said, I'm sorry, but as Mike mentioned, will not necessarily be 50% every year, but it'll be 50% over the 3-year period.
So the total cost would be $180,000 salary and benefits for 3 years. We would expect to receive $90,000 over the course of those 3 years.
Correct. And as far as
Maybe
the,
it's 60, 20, 10, 50, 30, 20, whatever it is.
and as far as the, and I've gone on the record several times on this, the other thing I would recommend, I am with you 100%. Roberta does a fantastic job. Her and I have talked about this. But I think unless something's changed and her and I have talked, she has no objections to a borough manager, because a borough manager would allow her, free her up to do some of the things that more fall into the job description that she was originally hired for, what she's more comfortable working with. There's some things that a borough manager can do that don't necessarily fall under a borough administrator or something that she's comfortable with. Roberta, if I'm out of line on anything I said, please tell me. But I just want to make sure that's on the record so that they know where you stand, but also we're all sitting here. So am I correct on all that? Okay, so like I said, it's no reflection on her whatsoever. But there are things that her, even she'll still be an administrator where she's not being demoted, nothing's happening to her. But there's things that a borough manager will have access to be going out to try and meet to recruit businesses for town, to try and help us to increase our tax base. And hopefully, if, over the course of 3 years, the thought process is if the borough manager truly does their job, they're actually going to be increasing our tax revenue, which is actually going to pay for, part of what we're not going to get anymore from the state, and they're going to help exactly what we're looking for. And Janine and Steve, I mean, you've been involved with a lot of this. Am I missing anything there, or am I just Jody, I think you were here from the beginning also. I
don't think so. I think that the borough manager will ultimately pay for himself plus some.
Right.
I mean, we have to have some type of a plan. So in 3 years, the plan is for him to pay for himself, and in 5 years, it's for him or her to make enough money to not only do that, but to put money back into the borough.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time as a borough, and again, no reflection on anyone in the office, they can only do so much. So we're in quicksand right now because we're asking them to do things that don't necessarily fall under their job description. And we're trying to improve, the borough status and the tax base of the borough. This is one way we can do it at a minimal cost. If we just bring someone in as a secretary for Roberta, that 50% match you're getting over 3 years, you will not get. That will only pay for a borough manager. So the question is, can we afford it? It would actually, if you bring an assistant in, it would cost us at least as much, if not more, than a borough manager. Because if you pay that person, just say $30,000, okay? If you're going to go with the $60,000 number, we have 50 in the budget right now. So let's go say 50. We have 50 in the budget right now. So you would have to bring someone in at $25,000 to just break even on what you're going to do versus the money you would lose potentially getting the grant to cover your borough manager. So.
And Mark, I'm gonna say this too. When Roberta and I talked about this, she even said she can't do what a borough manager can do because she can't be out. She has too much to do in the office. She can't be out meeting with potential businesses and things like that.
Well, yeah, that's what I previously alluded to.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, but Frank, like I said, I respect your opinion on it. I'm glad we can have a healthy, respectful conversation about quite honestly without arguing. That's good. That's what we're supposed to be able to do. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, thank you. Let's go on to Public Works, Nancy.
Okay, naturally, a while ago, the street crew was doing snow removal. Thankfully, we haven't seen any of that, knock on wood. They've been doing cold patching. We're waiting on our new truck. As I said, we did receive one application. They've taken scrap out of the lot, cleaned up around the area down there. They pulled handicap signs that were no longer used, and they verified new handicap spots that were applied for.
Okay. Okay. Jerry, anything else on Public Works?
Nope.
Okay.
I already addressed the truck last week, so we're just waiting.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry,
Yes.
could you call Taylor and put her on your phone? It's having a hard time getting here.
My battery's not charged.
Mark, can you?
You're on mine.
Steve, Jody, Nancy, somebody?
Yeah, because I don't see her trying to even get into the Zoom, Janine.
Well, here, Mark, try my phone.
Put Janine up on yours, that Taylor saves on mine. Janine, Nancy's gonna pull you up, I'll switch over to Taylor.
Okay, thank you.
Ike's got her.
Is that who you
Yeah,
are?
but I'm gonna die here in a second.
Yeah, that's me.
Let me say, excuse me, my phone's gonna die here in a
That's not you.
Okay, what do you want?
We have it covered though. You bring up Janine and I'll put Taylor on.
What do I call her?
Yeah, call her.
Yeah, but
Put her
when
on
your phone
speaker.
dies, you feel like you died.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Janine, okay, put you on speaker, is that correct? Okay,
Okay, they're calling me. Here,
Taylor,
I'm
can you hear me
hanging
okay?
Janine,
up. Okay, she hung up.
okay, I'm putting you by my microphone.
I'm assuming she's on, I have her on speaker, right? She must be muted, but I have her on.
Here, thank you.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. We're all good now for technology.
Get back
Janine, are
there.
you okay?
Okay, so Jerry, you have nothing else to bring?
No.
Okay. Code, Jody?
Is my thing on?
Bobby's been doing a lot of, sending out a lot of violation letters. Where'd you go? Oh. He's been sending out a lot of violation letters and following up on
Could you use
things.
your microphone so that would tell Taylor to hear you also, please?
Bobby's been doing a lot of violation letters and went out on inspections, thank you for the word I wanted, and following up on things that he had previously been working on. We're still kind of in a cold pattern, I believe, on 725 Washington. Did she? No, she still hasn't been in to sign that paper. So, that's where we're at.
Okay. Thank you. Frank, do you have anything else on code?
Yeah, I've got a couple things.
Sure.
When I was mayor here some years ago, we have a drug problem. I don't know if we still have one, but during that process, there was something going on with the code situation where people, landlords are allowing numerous people living in properties. There was no accountability of who they were. And at that time, District Attorney Steve DeCranty and I worked together on a situation of a plan to try to address illegal drug trafficking. Now that I'm on council and I'm on code, there has been a letter that we drafted for our code officer to implement to all the landlords that they are accountable for the residents, tenants that come in. It's called an occupancy permit. And it needs to be enforced because we do have the tool to enforce it. We have a letter. Now, I want to make it very clear to all the landlords in Charleroi that they must not ignore that position. Because if they ignore it, and we find out that they have violated this by having numerous people moving in and out, and there's no accountability of the exits and the situation with occupancy permits, they could be fined severely. Now, this is an ordinance, this is something that our solicitor drafted in order to protect Charleroi. And this is a good way the police department also would have a chance to monitor who is in there in that facility. So we welcome the participation of the landlords. We want them to participate with our code officer, who is by himself, and I understand that. But we are looking at all the landlords and the residents and see if they have the occupancy permits. And if they have ignored them and numerous people have moved in, 20 people are living in a place, they're going to be fine. And we have the tools to do that. And I know this council wants drugs out of our community, and this is one of the tools that former District Attorney DePrandy has helped formulate in a plan, and we are implementing that. And I'm hopeful that we will continue that. But landlords, we want to cooperate. We want you to get along with us, and we want people through this pandemic to somehow understand that we are with them also. Again, this is a borough of Charleroi. This is a family. We want to help everybody. At the same time, people need to be accountable if someone's taking advantage of us. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
One thing, if you see somebody moving in or out, please let Bobby know. Because then he
See
can
something,
see
say something,
something,
say something.
Every time I see somebody moving in or out, I call him, text him, leave him a message, something, and then that way he knows to follow up.
You're 100% right. They can't be everywhere, whether it be the police
No.
code, we have to work with them.
Yep.
Bobby?
Yeah, I'm just asking you, please, nobody bother you on the weekend. I had a fellow at my house on Saturday, knocking on the door. He didn't get, I was home, I was watching him on my camera, went down to my parents, bothered them, then come back to my house. I get people, I don't know who's giving my cell number out or telling people where I live. You're not paying me enough to be bothered on the weekend. I do not want bother, I don't care what's going on, unless your house is on fire, you need a fire department, you're gonna see me. I don't think I should have to do code enforcement on my time off on the weekends or after hours. Unless it's an emergency, like we had downtown with the building coming down or something. But mostly everything that I get is something that can be handled here in the office. I don't want to be like that. I think I'm personal. I don't want to bother on my home time or on the weekend. I don't think it's that much of an emergency. You can't wait till Monday.
No, how many times I'll wait till it's after, I know most of us won't, but it's for the residents, yeah, please respect his private time with his family.
If it's after hours or on the weekend and I see something, I call the office phone and I leave him a message. That way I remember to do it, and it's there when he gets to work the next day.
That's fine.
It's as simple as that.
There's 10 messages there this morning. That's fine.
Yeah.
Please don't call me myself.
No, there's no reason for that.
You got it. Okay, Parks and Rec, Frank?
Well, then, on that note, we'll continue working on what we're going to do for Easter, depending on what the COVID laws are at that time, what they allow us to do. If things are lifted, to have an amen or do similar to what they did for Santa Claus for Christmas.
Okay.
So,
You wanted me to talk about the July 3rd thing, none of that now?
we're going to get, because I don't even know what's in the works for
So,
other
I
than
mean,
that, right?
we potentially, and we're not sure exactly what we're going to do for community days, obviously for the same reason, but we had talked previously over the memorial for Colonel Mitchell Page, and the ceremonies for that, for the new memorial, they decided the meeting on Sunday is going to be July 3rd. Now, the reason that was picked, it was debating between Memorial Day and July 3rd. There was not certainty if Memorial Day was going to allow for enough time to, one, fundraise, because the memorial is about $7,500 for the stone and getting it in. It's coming from Georgia. And they weren't sure if they could actually even get it here on time. Even if we paid them the full amount right this minute, they weren't sure if they could have it here in time. The second reason we talked about July 3rd is if we do a regular community days, and even if we don't, in all likelihood, we're still going to do fireworks. So the thought process was, let's do it in the evening that day, because Memorial Day, the Legion riders were at various memorials throughout the entire valley. They're spread thin as it is. They wanted to have some type of small luncheon after, so they didn't have enough manpower to prepare for some type of luncheon and do proper respect for what needed to be done to the memorial. So July 3rd will be that evening. We don't have a firm time yet, but the thought was, okay, you're going to have more people in town, more people will be made aware of it. If you do it in the evening, it'll be closer to a fireworks time, and people who don't know who Mitchell Page is may stop by and pay the proper respect that is due. So that's where it's brought up to speed at this point. And then, like I said, we'll start getting together real soon for exactly what we're going to do for community days. At least tentatively figure out what we think we can do.
I'd like to point out that as commander of the American Legion, I'm very appreciative of the Leaders Riders to bring that issue up and the Medal of Honor winner. I don't want to forget something. We've got people like Ed Colombo, who is a lifelong resident of Charleroi, who was in the second wave of Normandy. And I know the Legion Riders, this gentleman that they're honoring, left Charleroi at 8 years old, went to California. We have some Second World War veterans here who have given their all to this country. And I'm going to bring it up at the next Legion meeting that we need to add these to the possible monuments. I don't know if you're familiar with the second wave of Normandy, but I had Ed Colombo, the former commander of both the VFW and the Legion, to speak at one of our memorial. I don't know if you were there. And I remember him saying that I thought he'd give this speech about hitting the beach, you know, and watch all the movies. You know what he said? He said, I remember how cold it was in England before they launched the invasion. He said there was 2,000 guys. And he said, I remember how cold it was. And then he said, we hit the beach, and they were all gone. I get tears in my eyes just thinking about that. And I think we should honor those also, at some point.
I agree with you. I think one of the reasons it's brought up, he is still the only congressional honor winner that's ever been born and raised at any point in Charleroi, and that's one of the reasons that, that's been pointed out. There's really been nothing, to recognize him. But yes, I mean, that's why a lot of those guys are listed on the memorial down there. Some of the past in battle are listed on the memorials we have throughout town. At the parking lot plaques we have throughout town. But as a congressional honor winner, being the only ones ever come from Charleroi, that's one of the reasons they wanted to acknowledge him. And really, there hasn't ever been anything to acknowledge, even a smaller scale. So I
thought we did something for him.
Not for Mitchell Pace, no. We did.
No.
We did it for Pagonis.
No, well, I know we did Pagonis because we, but Mr. Palumbo too, though. I thought we had a special day for him at one point.
Well, we honored him on.
Wait a minute, Janine.
We definitely honored him at one of the parades.
I was saying, I remember doing something that we acknowledged him and honored him.
Okay,
And I thought there was an event there.
yes.
I don't know for sure that we honored him at the parade because I actually bought the magnet that went on the side of his car and drove him home that night after the parade and helped him into the house, so I know we did. We definitely did that.
I would like to do that. That's a good idea. We had, at the time, the family had nothing when he passed away. We stood at St. John's Church where it was in an honor guard when the casket came on. But we need to honor those who have really served in a position where...
No one here is disputing that.
And I welcome the council's participation because we are a family. Thank you.
She had to excuse herself from the meeting, so Councilwoman Janine Motiki excuses herself from the meeting.
Okay. Paul, you have anything else you want to add on Parks and Rec, or Frank, is that it?
No, the other thing's down and we've got some days on guard to be voted on.
Police, Jerry?
I talked to Chad the other day, and everything's going smooth in the police department. He tells me overtime's going well, and we are officially using Manoli Helen now for a lockup. We made an agreement with them instead of an estimate.
How much are they charging?
It's cheaper now. I can't remember what it was. I know it's cheaper than what it was.
It's a 4-hour minimum, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's $30 or $40 an hour.
That's still cheaper than...
Yeah, it was cheaper than what it was.
Okay, good job with that. Okay, Nancy, you have anything else on police?
No.
Jody?
I know, I think we were still waiting on the laptops for the cars were in. I believe we were still waiting on the,
Yeah, I believe they got it.
oh, okay, 2 desktops coming in now.
Is that it? Okay. Fire EMS, Frank?
Chief White, do you have any?
No, we had, 37 calls for the month of February. Right now, we're probably at least 15 to 20 over above what we were last year at this time. We do have a ticket going out right now. It's out for a lottery ticket, $800 in cash and $2,200 in lottery tickets. We did a fundraiser on Sunday for that 19-year-old Menneson farmer that had a stroke. I heard he's coming around very slowly, but we had a fundraiser. We gave all our proceeds. It turned out to be $800, and we did like I said, $800. The family, Glenn went over and gave it to the family personally, and they were very happy with that. And they were selling bracelets for $3. I think they were taking orders for T-shirts. This young fellow was a very energetic boy, and it's just a shame that he's, you know, do you know anything more about it?
You got it. Basically,
we're just praying.
He's in Jefferson now. He's
at Jefferson Hospital in rehab. We're just praying to God that he'll get some flexibility in his legs and stuff back to be that young, to go through that. And anything else we passed on that happens during the day?
Just busy.
Yeah, busy. That's it. Busy.
Thank God.
Thanks, Ryan.
The only thing I want to add to that, and it's down below, but I want to do it now since we're under fire EMS. It was mentioned to me a month or two ago, and I think this is a great idea. And Tommy's here, he actually mentioned to me, and I give him credit for mentioning it. You know, we do have a police committee. We have other communities that donate to our paid fire truck driver. And last year, we talked about giving Matt his raise. There wasn't enough good communication between us and whenever they did their budgets. So it didn't really work out real well. So I've already talked to Kurt Rice and told him I was going to bring this up tonight. I have a call into John Otto because he was in a number I really had for Twilight. And Bobby, I still need to get that done. Let me know.
Becky Hammond,
okay, if you can text. Yeah, if you could text me her number later. I'm going to give her a call. But bottom line is, I'd like to form a committee, a fire committee. They're not going to meet monthly. The committee can decide. I mean, I'm thinking, 2 from Charleroi and 1 from each of the other communities. So when we're trying to talk about giving Matt a raise or do anything, they know what they're doing. So before they do their budget, because that was a problem last year that we were working on this and they had no idea what was going on. They weren't aware. The fire department, thinks it's a good idea also. Like I said, that's what suggested. What I'd like to do is, since Frank and Jerry are already the fire committee, make them our 2 people on there if everyone's okay with that. I just think it's something we need to do to get better communication. We're asking, they're all contributing, and I think if it comes to time that they need to contribute more, they need to know what's going on because we're asking. Instead of just calling them saying, we need to raise Matt's salary or our insurance went up, they need to know exactly what's going on so they can talk to their people also. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Okay.
Who sets the rate?
We set the rate. We've
raised it.
We've set the rate by contract, I should say.
Have we raised the contract in the last few years?
There were some tweaks to the contract last year, and we did have to raise some things, yes. Because there were some federal regulations on how we had to pay based on overtime or lack thereof. And that was where some of the confusion came in, because we had to eat a lot of that because we didn't have a committee in place that they could have been part of, so they knew what was going on before they did their budgets. So that's what made it very tough at that
Now,
point.
is part of that salary that's still coming from the borough, is the borough a part-time employee?
I'm sorry to hear you, Paul.
Is part of Matt's salary still coming from the borough as a part-time borough employee, as we did with the previous driver?
He's actually a full-time employee.
Full-time, I'm sorry, so.
Yes. So
This is on top of?
No, this is what I'm saying. He's getting paid, but we get a partial reimbursement from the other communities.
Okay.
And we had tried to approach them about possibly increasing their contribution, but because they weren't readily involved and knew exactly what's going on, and they had already done their budget work, and I think if we're going to ask them to contribute more, I think they really need to be part of the process. So
The main thing I'm asking that is because if we're going to ask them to contribute more, because we have a full-time employee that we are paying, that's also a driver.
Well, that's his job as a driver. He's primarily,
I understand, Mark, but he's our employee.
He's our
So
employee.
we're asking them to pay a percentage of our employee.
They already are.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to.
But it's not our employee, it's actually a regional employee because
Because he's our employee, he's paid by the borough, and he's on the
But he
borough
also-
insurance, and he's,
but he services their communities when there's a fire also.
right, when there's a fire alarm.
Correct.
Okay.